Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the most shocking, dramatic, and unforgettable spoilers from the world of Beyond the Gates. Here, we unravel the secrets, betrayals, and devastating revelations that keep fans glued to every episode. Today, we dive deep into one of the most explosive turns in the Dupree family saga, a moment that not only shakes the foundation of their empire but also sets off a storm of revenge and treachery unlike anything seen before. When Vernon announced that Leslie was the rightful heir, the walls of the Dupree dynasty trembled. The revelation ripped through the family like an earthquake, dismantling years of carefully maintained control. For Anita, who had stood faithfully beside Vernon through every step of building the empire, it was more than a betrayal, it was annihilation of her entire identity. Every late night spent strategizing, every sacrifice made to secure their position, every moment of loyalty was suddenly rendered meaningless. In her eyes, Leslie was not only an outsider but an enemy, a threat cloaked in innocence who had stolen the prize Anita believed was hers by right. As the announcement sank in, Anita's face hardened. Her world crumbled in silence, but deep inside, a flame of hatred ignited. The humiliation of being sidelined, the anguish of losing her grip on the family legacy, all fermented into a burning resolve. She swore to herself that Leslie would never enjoy the power so casually bestowed upon her. If Vernon had chosen to hand over the crown, Anita would make sure it became a poisoned gift. Power, she decided, would be clawed back not through open confrontation, but through shadows, secrets, and the kind of manipulation only she was capable of executing. Her plan began with precision. Anita knew that to destroy Leslie, she had to erode her reputation piece by piece. Quietly, she hired private investigators, ruthless professionals with no moral compass, whose sole loyalty was to money. Their mission was simple: dissect Leslie's past, dig through every hidden corner, and unearth anything that could be twisted into scandal. Anita followed every lead, combing through old connections, forgotten relationships, and financial records, convinced that everyone had a skeleton buried somewhere. If Leslie's history was too clean, then Anita would carve imperfections into it herself. But Anita's cunning did not stop at searching for truth. She was prepared to manufacture lies so devastating they would be indistinguishable from reality. Slowly, a plot began to form in her mind, one so flawless that even the sharpest eye would struggle to untangle fact from fiction. She envisioned Leslie accused of siphoning funds from the family's charitable foundation, a betrayal that would not only ruin her reputation but also brand her as corrupt and heartless. Anita gathered documents, altered transactions, and built a chain of false evidence so seamless that it appeared airtight. To tighten the noose, she forged connections suggesting Leslie had been secretly colluding with the family's fiercest business rivals, feeding them confidential strategies to weaken the Dupree empire from within. Every piece was meticulously placed, and Anita reveled in the artistry of her trap. She was not simply plotting revenge, she was staging a masterpiece of destruction. The beauty of it lay in its subtlety. While Leslie basked in the newfound spotlight of being named heir, Anita wove a web of deceit around her. There was no need for direct confrontation, no screaming accusations. Instead, Anita allowed whispers to spread, shadows to lengthen, until suspicion itself became the noose tightening around Leslie's neck. The first cracks appeared when anonymous tips reached the ears of key board members and family allies. Questions began to surface about Leslie's integrity. Charitable funds were mysteriously unaccounted for, reports were inconsistent, and digital trails pointed back to her. Meetings turned tense, glances grew colder, and the aura of trust surrounding Leslie started to wither. For someone who had barely stepped into her new role, the weight of scrutiny was unbearable. Rumors spread like wildfire, fanned by Anita's invisible hand, and before long, Leslie's image shifted from heir apparent to suspect. As the evidence mounted, Leslie found herself cornered. Warrants loomed, threats of arrest circled, and the once proud heir was thrust into a nightmare she could not comprehend. Every step she took to defend herself seemed only to sink her deeper, as Anita had carefully anticipated every possible countermove. The more Leslie protested her innocence, the more desperate and guilty she appeared. For Anita, it was the perfect spectacle, her enemy collapsing under the weight of invisible chains she herself had forged. Yet the impact of Anita's scheme reached far beyond Leslie. The Dupree family, already strained by decades of rivalries and suppressed resentments, began to fracture under the pressure of scandal. Old wounds were reopened, alliances shattered, and siblings turned on one another. Suspicion infected every interaction. Was Leslie truly guilty, or was someone manipulating the narrative? Some saw her as a victim of circumstance, others as a traitor hiding behind a mask of virtue. Vernon's authority wavered, for the patriarch who had once commanded unshakable loyalty was now questioned for his judgment. Had he handed the empire to a fraud? Or worse, had he been blind to the true depths of Anita's cruelty? The Dupree estate, once a fortress of luxury and dominance, became a battleground of whispers, accusations, and betrayals. Dinners turned into interrogations, boardrooms into war zones, and every conversation dripped with suspicion. What Anita had unleashed was more than an attack on Leslie, it was a civil war within the family itself. Loyalties were tested, blood ties strained, and the line between family and enemy blurred until no one could be trusted. As Leslie struggled to survive the storm, Anita savored her silent victory. For her, the destruction of Leslie was not enough. She wanted to send a message, one carved in fear and pain: anyone who dared to challenge her place in the Dupree dynasty would suffer. She relished the thought of Leslie behind bars, disgraced, stripped of dignity, and remembered not as an heir, but as a cautionary tale. The very foundation Vernon had sought to secure through his announcement was collapsing under the weight of deceit, and Anita was determined to watch it all burn. But the true brilliance of Anita's scheme was its invisibility. To the outside world, she remained the grieving matriarch, wounded by the chaos that had engulfed her family. Her expressions of sorrow masked the triumph pulsing in her veins. She appeared to stand by Vernon, offering comfort in his moments of doubt, even as she sharpened the knives behind his back. No one could trace the shadows back to her, for she had left no fingerprints, no trail of guilt. The empire was tearing itself apart, and Anita wore the mask of an innocent bystander. Yet, even the most perfect plans carry within them the seeds of collapse. As the family descended into chaos, sharp eyes began to notice inconsistencies. Questions arose about the timing of the accusations, the convenience of the evidence, and the eerie silence of those who seemed to benefit from Leslie's fall. Some began to suspect that the true enemy was not Leslie, but someone operating in the background. Tension brewed, and while Anita reveled in her control, cracks in her carefully constructed facade threatened to widen. The drama had only begun. Leslie, though battered and cornered, carried within her a resilience that Anita underestimated. The more she was pushed, the stronger her determination became to expose the truth. As allies emerged from unexpected places, the possibility of Anita's hidden hand being revealed grew stronger. And with every step Leslie took toward reclaiming her dignity, the stakes of the family war escalated. It was no longer just about inheritance, it was about survival, truth, and the unmasking of the darkest soul within the Dupree dynasty. Beyond the Gates had transformed from a story of wealth and legacy into a tale of blood, betrayal, and vengeance. The heir's crown had become a symbol of war, and Anita's treachery had set fire to the very foundation she once vowed to protect. The Dupree family stood at the edge of annihilation, with every member forced to choose sides in a conflict that promised no survivors. The battle lines were drawn, and the next chapter would be written in ruin, pain, and shocking revelations yet to come. Thank you for joining us as we peel back the layers of this gripping saga. The storm within the Dupree family is only beginning, and the secrets buried in their legacy will continue to erupt in ways that will leave you breathless. Stay tuned for more shocking spoilers, and remember to follow and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a moment of the chaos, betrayal, and unforgettable drama that lies beyond the gates.